Hello there. Just in the middle of Newcastle city centre here, right next to the Crown Court. See all the wagons pulling in behind, dropping off the prisoners for the for their sentencing or whatever it is. But yeah, so quite early, 9:30 on a Saturday morning. In the middle of Newcastle, and it's dead. You know, there's hardly any traffic anywhere. You know, it's very strange. You know, ever since they did like the lockdown, it's never ever got back to normal. I think that obviously all orchestrated and manipulated, and it's completely just quiet. You know, not that I want to be like driving in busy traffic, but you're going through the city centre in Newcastle, and see, like, looking up ahead, there's not a single car on the road in front of me, and nothing behind me either. And it's just like looking up the sides, there's just nothing here. It's really dead. Weird. But how? Anyway, I was going over some videos that I have last night of a course that I've been like. Well, once you get the course, you know you've got it for life. So I've been like about 3 years now, 4 years. You know, looking at this course now. There's a guy, he's called John Little. I think Jonathan might be his name, but you know, some people say it's not his real name, but I don't know. But you know, and it's the first one that I did with him. It was with him and a woman called Jennifer Goodwin. You can still see her, like if you go on YouTube, she's got a channel. Very well informed. Got some great content on there, all about like. And what they say it's law common to I, not common law, law common to I. And the first one I did was with her and John, and it was all about how to actually, you know, stand on your square, fight your corner, and know how to do notices and how to write them correctly. And everything was always written I, with the I being the lowercase, with the dot above it, your head, as he said. So it's I, a man, and showing you how to actually write these notices correctly, and nothing to do with what do they call that thing, quantum grammar or anything like that. But there was certain punctuations that were just slightly different with the things of like I, a man, and the whole thing was all about standing as a man, knowing who you are, not the legal fiction or the title. And he calls it the title. You take the title being your full cap's name, or when you're called Mr., Mrs., whichever. Now this is a very clever guy, and everything that he does has all been proven. So he has children, probably a lot older now, but anyway, they took his children from him. They actually did take his children. So he, and when they took his children, obviously, you know, he was trying his hand at all the law things and everything, and so they were trying to have a go at him. So then they also made all of these allegations and charges trying to get him put in prison as well. So what he'd done is he wrote these notices standing as a man, I, a man, and he went to court and he wrote a claim against the state, and the claim that he put in when they actually took him to court, so they're taking him to court for all these charges of whatever it was, you know, made up to try and put him in prison, because obviously he was fighting to get his children back. So when they call, you know, his name, whatever, you know, they say confirm your name, and he would say, I, a man, John, are present on this matter, and I have a claim to press against the court. And he had the claim. He said he would hold it in his right hand, and he would present it to the court. Let's get past this bus. Just a little bit more traffic here. And, you know, he says when he was in the court doing this, obviously they get very angry, and, you know, they're shouting, and, you know, state your name correctly and all this, trying to get him to contract with them, trying to get Joinder. So he said he was in the court for over a week, and they were just all that time trying to get him to contract with them, trying to accept the legal fiction, and he just obviously refused, and he was always the same. And it was like, you know, I, a man, John, are here on this matter, and I have a claim to press against the court, or press upon the court. And he had his claim all written out correctly in ink, by hand, you know, not typed up. And it was like, you know, I'm pressing a claim, and they would say, well, we've got these charges against you. And he would say, well, they're just complaints, that means nothing, that's just legislation. I have a claim at law. And the claim he was putting in, now listen carefully, was trespass by way of theft of his private property. Trespass by way of theft of his private property. The private property he was talking about was his children. His private property. So he pressed a claim against the court, or against the actual social workers who were had taken the children, okay, as theft of his private property, his children. And he got his children back because they were his private property, and he had put a claim in, a proper claim, written out correctly as I, a man, for theft, trespass by way of theft of his private property. And he won. And when I was on the course, right, the one that I actually did about how to write those notices, how to actually write them out correctly with the punctuation, I was actually still in my gym, all right, running sessions. So what I would do, and I was actually, we were running it live, it wasn't recorded. So I would go out into the car and sit in the car park with my phone and actually do the course. So I had all my notepads, and then you had to actually do all this homework and then send it in to them, you see? And then they would mark the homework if you wrote out the notices correctly. The thing is, like they're saying, the same with the other course that I did, which is all about equity, right? There's no templates. You can't have templates to do and just copy things. It has to be unique. I, a man, or I, a woman, right? And when I was on the course, sitting in the car park, right, he was explaining about, this is the law, and you have to express your law. And the only time that you can't express your law is if you accept the title. If you accept the title, the legal fiction, but he calls it the title, but whatever it would be, and it's like different types of titles, and this is where they actually trick you all the time. So the words like a parent is a title. You are a man or a woman who at times well, let's just say you are a man who at times acts as a father, okay? Or you are a woman who at times acts as a mother, because you're only acting at a specific time as that actual thing. You will not accept the title of a mother, a parent, you see? So you are a man or a woman who at times drives a car, not a driver, all right? And that is the way that he writes his notices. Now, he's been doing this for many, many years, and he's stood in court many times, and like I say, he got his children back by putting in a claim for his private property, because children are your property, if they are yours, obviously. And then he was explaining this about like how to find these cases where people have used the law correctly, and they have expressed their law and wrote a claim correctly. So there was a guy called John Mopp, M-O-P-P, in Oklahoma, and he had a business growing these exotic plants and he had a field of them. So by legislation, okay, just statutory, not a law, he wasn't allowed to grow them and they weren't allowed to smoke them. However, that is just legislation. So under legislation, they had arrested him, the state of Oklahoma, and they'd put him in prison and confiscated the field, or not the field, but all of the plants in the field. And he was explaining this court case. He said, if you look it up, it's very hard to find, but you can find it. And I did find it. This is a few years ago though, you know, and I've tried to look for it the other day because I was like listening to the case again, and I can't find it on the internet. So you try and look at it. And it was actually his wife who filed the claim. A woman, filing a case against the state of Oklahoma, trespass by way of theft of her private property. What was her private property? Her husband, because that was her property. Trespass by way of theft. You've stolen my husband, you've put him in jail, and she won her case. Filed it correctly. A woman filing a trespass by way of theft, and they returned her husband to her. This is all in case law, and I found it when he was telling me about it on the internet. John Mopp, the state of Oklahoma. I can't remember her name, Mrs. Mopp, right? But she won her case, filed a trespass by way of theft for her private property. Her private property being her husband, and he was returned to her. And guess what? He then filed a case of trespass by way of theft of his plants, and they returned the plants to him. Okay? Now, a newer course that I did straight after that one, and I think they actually call this one Sovereign's Way, I think. Something like that. Which is funny because they don't even like the word sovereign. But anyway, and this is done, this course that John's done here, it's actually again two people. So the first one that I did with him was with Jennifer Goodwin, and this one here is with an English guy called Greg. And you know, again, what they're telling their stories on how to actually express your law as a man rather than legislation. And it's all about not accepting the title. So you were a man. Now they don't put anything before that. You don't say I'm a private man, I'm a sovereign man, I'm a free man. They don't say anything like that because it doesn't make sense. You are a man or a woman, and that's it. And you stand at law. I, a man, and it's the lowercase I all the time because it has its head on. If you see the capital I, it's been decapitated. They've cut the head off. There's no dot above it. And he got arrested, this English guy, Greg, obviously in England, and he also was trying to be a farmer, growing these exotic plants, but he was doing it in his flat, his apartment, whatever it was. Him and, I'm sure he said it was his ex-wife. Well, it is now. But, so they arrested him, and but the thing is, what he wouldn't do was accept the title. So he's not giving joinder, and eventually they just had to let him go. And he said that, you know, there was a chief inspector, you know, at the police station, was like, you know, spitting feathers, like really angry, like foaming, but there's nothing they could do because he wouldn't accept the title. Now this was a few years ago again, he was saying. However, he was going to file a trespass claim against the police for his plants. But he just said it was, you know, it was at the time. I can't remember why he didn't file it though. I know he didn't file it, and I think it's probably because he was so pleased with himself where they had to release him with no charges whatsoever because he wouldn't accept the title. So, you know, to them, it's a criminal offence, because they never say it's a crime, do they? Because a crime is against law, whereas a criminal offence is only against legislation. Yeah, so that's what I have been studying for quite a few years. And, you know, knowing that they've been to court and stood their ground, fought their corner, and won using law, proper law of I, a man, standing without accepting the title, and won property of his children, won it by filing a correct claim against the state. I, a man, claimed trespass by way of theft of my private property being the highest right of man, and the property that he was taking back were his children. And then that woman who he was talking about, you should go and try and search it yourself. It was John Mott versus the state of Oklahoma, and the woman got her property back, which was her husband, by filing a claim against the state of Oklahoma. I, a woman, right, filed claim by way of trespass by way of theft of my private property. So that's why I stand, and I trust these people, the way that they've actually done the courses. I trust them way more than anybody else that I've ever heard speak. So, and I'll stand by that, and I'll stand with them, knowing what is private property, and that property is the highest right of man or woman. Okay? But that course there, you can actually go and check it out yourself. In fact, I'll put a link, you can go and look at it. You don't have to join it or anything, just go and have a look so you know that it is there, it's true, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. So when you listen to them, both of them, Greg, who's English, and John, I believe is American, or Canadian or American, possibly American, and they talk a lot of common sense, and it's all about fear base and everything that the shills give you to create fear. And a lot of it comes from what people that would call themselves truthers, and all they're doing is filling people with fear. Now, be it because that's what they're paid to do or not, we don't really know, but it's all fear-based, fear porn, and they're flooding what you could call this community. They call it the truth community. And John, right, on that course, and they speak completely plainly about it, and it's all about standing as a man. And they say, if in court, when they go in and they say, you say that, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because that is purely an opinion. It's not the truth. The truth is an opinion. It means absolutely nothing. It's true, words that are true. So he speaks words that are true. Doesn't say the truth, because that is an opinion. So that's why when these people are saying that they're truthers, well, what they're telling you is that they're highly opinionated, and all they're ever going to give you is their opinion. And same thing again, you know, it's like John and Greg in England, and both of them, they talk about, you know, people always say, well, what are we going to do about, like, not paying your gas bill, electric bill, water bill? And both of them say, well, point blank, pay it. Because, you know, to actually be able to stand at law, you have to be honourable. And if you talk about equity as well, the other guys, completely different people, when they're talking about standing in equity, they say, well, you can't ask for equity if you're not being equitable. You cannot ask for the court or whatever to treat you with equity if you're not standing in honour. So this is just, again, this is what they do. And they seem to know a lot more than most other people that I have actually ever listened to. So they say, well, but you are using the utilities, you're using the water, right? However, you may try and complain and that it was like, oh, it's got poison in it, or well, we've already paid for this is the taxes paid for this, but right, you're using the gas, the electricity, the water. It's just, you know, I'm not telling you to do, you can do exactly what you like. And the same thing, it says like the property taxes, 100% agrees that it's a complete and utter scam and that it's completely unlawful, but they still will pay their property taxes because they will actually receive the benefits of the actual service, even if it's massively overpriced. So for instance, like your council tax, they still pay theirs. It's not called council tax in America, obviously, but they still pay property taxes. And he says, well, yeah, well, they maintain the roads, they cut the bushes. He says, yes, it's massively overpriced. Yes, it's unlawful, but we're still receiving some of the benefits. So, you know, if you want to stand in honour, then just actually get it paid. And inequity on the when they completely shut down all fake debt or fines, court fines, and they just shut it down with equity, accept it in honour and return, not accept for value nonsense and all that fake stuff, right, doing it properly in equity, but they will not do it on a recurring bill like council tax or gas, water, electric bill. Okay, so, and something sprung to mind when I was listening to them, again going over it, which was just yesterday, listening to John and Greg, and you know, a very wise man once gave me a very important piece of advice and said, do not take financial advice from people who are broke. Do not take financial advice from people who've got no money. Okay, same thing as don't take career advice for people that are on the dole. And that rings true in everything, in every walk of life. So again, when you're talking about like bills and utilities and council tax and everything, don't take advice from people who've been evicted from their own flat for not telling the bills, not paying the bills, and end up living in a van. All right, don't take advice from people like that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As I say, I'm not telling anyone what to do at all. You can do anything you want. It's not my business, not my concern. But just bear in mind, you know, a little bit of historic advice there, right? Don't take advice or financial advice from people who have broke and got no money. All right? And when you get offered advice, right, a solid advice that can assist you in, right, creating streams of income, and it's given to you free, right, where you don't have to do anything or pay for anything whatsoever. And that video that I put out just last week, and then I've got another one I was trying to get out last night but didn't finish the editing. All of the advice on there that I've actually put in is all for free, and you do not have to pay anybody anything to actually utilize what I've shown on there, to be able to actually create income streams to help. And I'll tell you what it is, 2024 is going to be an incredible year. Not all, it's going to be incredibly good. If you look at the plans of the central banks and the printing of the fiat currency, I know they don't print it on bits of paper anymore, but the way they're issuing fiat currency, like, it's going out of fashion, because it is going to go out of fashion. They're going to get rid of it, and the CBDCs are all already done. It's all the done deal. It's done and dusted. They just haven't pushed it on the public just yet, but it's done in many countries worldwide. And then all of the distractions that are going on, you know, that's just to stop you actually paying attention to the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is you becoming even more enslaved than what we already are by being trapped into the these universal income and CBDCs. There's going to be a massive loss of jobs over the next 12 months in 2024, and a lot of it's going to be what they call the middle class. What they're wanting to do is divide the society completely, so there's going to be literally them and us, the elite they call themselves, but the very wealthy, and then that's going to be one level, no middle class, and then there'll be all us poor. And that's what they want, and they want to control it through central bank digital currency. So if you can actually investigate ways, which we've been showing, of how to actually go into decentralized finance, right, where you don't actually have to use a bank, you don't need a bank. So if you don't need a bank, then you also don't need to worry about using the central bank digital currency. Now, I do also listen to like a lot of other people that totally disagree. A guy called Michael Gibson, he's an American guy, multi-millionaire, runs multiple businesses, multiple $1 million businesses, and he's adamant. You know, I mean, a lot of what he says is exactly how the way that I would say it as well. You know, he talks a lot about like the Anunnaki and the reality of and the true origin of us being here, not what anything like what we're told as history. But you know, he knows that the fiat currency is going to crash, and he will leave no money in his bank that does not necessary for that month's of bills. I mean, and then he's talking like multi-millionaire and multiple $1 million businesses, and he takes all of the cash out as fast as he can, only leaves his necessary bills in. All right, but he's completely adamant that all cryptocurrency will crash. But the thing is, I can't see how that can happen. The only way that they could make that happen was by turning off every single electricity source in the entire planet. And if that did happen, then I think the last of your worries is where was your cryptocurrency or where's your money, because you'd have a lot more problems with this zombie apocalypse coming down upon us. I'm telling you. So, you know, and I just can't see it happening, because the blockchain is there, and that was what it was to combat, when they actually launched it, to combat the global tyranny of the fiat currency. So there's major things happening, and anybody that tries to actually stop you getting free information that was given out freely, honorably, to try and help you create streams of income to assist you in getting out of the matrix, someone who would see anything against that is your enemy. Someone who would see anything against that is an enemy of the people, we the people. Bear that in mind. So someone who's not helping you, if they're not with you, they're against you, they are your enemy. So just think about that. So if you want to see free information where you don't have to pay me or anybody else to actually get the way that these people are already earning a lot of money, be it fiat currency, you can always convert it straight away into either solid assets like gold and silver, or the crypto assets where you can actually go onto a decentralized exchanges, decentralized platforms. Don't use the centralized ones. So you can actually convert it into cryptocurrency. But it'll show you ways of actually creating streams of income, multiple streams of income. I'm going to go this way, where you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay for courses, you don't have to pay to join things, you don't have to pay for like monthly subscriptions to any of this. It's all 100% free. So go and check it out. I'm gonna, the first one, part 1, Checkmate the Matrix, it's already out there, and part 2 is going to be out hopefully today. It was actually the software, editing software, just brand new. They've updated it. Apparently it's terrible. It's gone really slow, so it's difficult to try and learn how to use new software, you know what I mean? So I'm stuck with this one at the minute. But anyway, what I think I might do is go and look for this free software, editing software called CapCut. I've been reading a lot about that lately, but I've never actually downloaded it. But apparently it's really good and it's free, so I might go and have a look at that. Okay, but I'll leave it there for now, because I've actually only got an hour spare, and I've got to go back up to Newcastle again. Funny name of that, speed bumps in the road. They actually don't make me go any faster, they make me go slower, if anything. Speed bumps. Okay, so like I say, I'll hopefully finish editing that part 2 today and get it out for you. Everything on there is about how to actually create multiple streams of income. Initially, the first stream of income, right? You just literally don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay for anything. You have to do things, obviously, but it's literally 100% free. Okay, so anyone that wants to stop you in your tracks, and the thing is, right, there's a lot of people that I know that listen to my videos, and they're like healers and spiritualists and spiritual healers, Reiki healers, hypnotherapists, masseuse, all types of therapists, and all of them got a really, really important message to pass on to people. So the thing is, what I've done is I've actually shown you ways, right, on these videos of being able to get your message out to more people for free on how to actually do it, and you'll get paid for it. So try to get your message out to more people about your healing, about your whatever you're doing, your service that you give to people, okay, the way that you help others. So you're helping people, and all I'm trying to do is just show you ways where you can get your message out to more people, and it's not going to cost you a penny. And in fact, if you do it correctly, like I show you, right, they will actually pay you literally for people watching your message. How good is that? I mean, that's to not do that is crazy. To not do that is daft. And for somebody to try and stop you getting that information, and to lie to like stop you watching and getting and absorbing how to actually get your special message out, special message to more people, then they are your enemy. Okay, but I will leave it now. Okay, so anyway, take care, and over that bump. Speak.